Thank you so much for listening to another episode of CX Chronicles podcast. I'm your host, Adrian Brady Chizana. All right, guys, thanks so much for listening to another episode of the CX Chronicles podcast. I'm your host, Adrian Brady Chizana. Guys, we have a super cool show today. We have two guests with us, and we're doing a different type of conversation where we're going to be learning about the world of insurance. And then we're, as always, going to be talking about how it relates to the world of customer experience, employee experience. And I think we might even get into agent experience and partner experience too. But I want to introduce, number one, Eileen Potter from Smart Communications. Eileen, say hello to the CX Nation, my friend.
So, hi everyone out there. Thank you, Adrian, for having me on here today along with Todd.
Absolutely. And then next, Todd Brenton, say hello to CX Nation, my friend.
Yeah, good morning, everybody. Todd Brenton from Hippo Assurance, and Adrian, appreciate the invite to speak with you today about all customer experience.
I'm pumped, guys. So a few weeks ago we had a couple of chats leading up to today, and our conversation is funny. Eileen and Todd, I told you guys I was going to do this. I literally told my best friend who's also in the insurance business after our conversation that I chatted with you guys, and that he would love this episode because it's the world that you guys are in every day. But before we get into the show, so let's start off with introductions. Eileen and Todd, one of you feel free to go first, but let's just start off with how we start off all these episodes, the stepping stone question. I'd love like 2 minutes or so. How'd you get into the space and place? What were maybe some of the early things you were doing in your career, in your life that led you to working in the roles that you're in today?
Okay. Should I go? I guess they always say
Eileen,
ladies
you lead us
first.
off.
And so
Yeah.
is that how we're going to do this? So,
Yeah.
so how did I get into insurance? Like almost everyone else I know, it was an accident that that you go to school, you go to college, you need a job. And so there was a job in an insurance agency. And, obviously I knew about insurance, but I didn't understand the business of insurance, but it seemed like a good place to work. And I needed a job and needed insurance. So here we go. So I went to work in an insurance agency. Like most people, it just kind of is learning curve. You start off in insurance that you're familiar with. So personal lines, learning about
Okay.
home insurance and auto insurance. In an agency, I worked in an independent agency. I was a CSR. So I worked with people every day, helping them with their coverages, helping them with their claims. I have now been in the industry, I always say more than 25 years. It makes me sound much younger than if I say over 30 years. But my experience as an agent has really shaped everything that I've ever done in insurance. Because to me, it really does go back to the customer and taking care of people. Insurance is not something that anyone is excited about purchasing,
Yeah.
but it is a promise. It is a promise to take care of you. And so everything I do, I have now been on the software side for a very long time. But for me, it's all about, I look at what I do at Smart Communications is helping people like Todd at his company, Hippo, take the best care of their customers just throughout, like at any moment during like the buying cycle or the claim cycle, especially.
Love it. I love it. I mean, one quick thing before we jump over to Todd, but like, you're right. Insurance is a funny game where you don't always necessarily want it, but you need it.
You need
And
it.
then the other thing is that, and then you guys laughed at me when I told you this a couple weeks ago, but as you get deeper into life, as you get older, a little wiser, you can see the gray in my beard now. I've got a daughter. I've got a few property. We got cars. We have stuff. And to not have those assets protected is crazy. And then the other thing
Yeah.
too is like, as you get older, stuff does happen in life. And hopefully it doesn't happen to you, and hopefully it doesn't happen to your family or your friends, but like, stuff happens, and insurance is one of those things where like to have that coverage, to have that backing and that support. And then let's call it in today's world. I mean, with people financing cars, financing homes, financing businesses, then you got that extra, like this stuff's got to be protected. So I love the intro. Todd, feel free to jump in, my friend. Introduce yourself, and just like Eileen, give a sense for how you got into some of the work that you're doing with Hippo and how you got into the space.
Yeah, thanks, Adrian. Appreciate it. So my journey in customer service morphed a little bit when I was in high school working at a cash register at a small little convenience store in Connecticut. But where it really started resonating with me is when I was doing my undergrad program. I did an internship at Disney World in Florida through a college program. And one of the things I learned that I've taken with me my entire career is Disney really formed us, um, give the customer the experience they want and what they expect. And one of
Big
the
time.
things that
Yep.
they preach to us is when you're working, you're on stage and you're acting. And that's kind of how I have gone through my journey and my career is, what does a customer want and try to be in their shoes, but also, having that empathy and having that, as Eileen alluded to, people have a claim. It's a pretty traumatic experience and being able to
Big
have that
time.
empathy
Yep.
to understand that. So that's kind of how my journey started with customer experience. I've been in the insurance space for about 35 years. I started when I was young, I wish I could say, but anyways, it's a lot of fun. And yeah, the insurance space is very unique and absolutely love it.
Awesome. So number one, thank you for that. And guys, I'm excited to dive in. I'd love to kind of jump into the first pillar of team. And Eileen and Todd, feel free to kind of jump in as needed here. But like, being in the space this long, you guys have probably seen a ton of different insurance companies set up their teams in a bunch of different types of ways, or you've seen agencies set up their teams in a bunch of different ways. Over your journey, and Eileen, I'll make this easy. I'll start with you, and then we can move to Todd. But like, over your guys' journey, I guess what are like two big things that you've seen across the way that have really changed or really enhanced the way that an insurance team that's serving those customers and doing the things that you guys are talking about right now, where you're dealing with these claims, you're dealing with these difficult situations. Talk about team for like a couple minutes. I just want to hear some of the lessons that you've learned or things that you've observed or parts of your playbook that are now like gospel as far as when you think about the first pillar of team.
So it's really interesting because when I started, there were computers, but the technology was just, things were manual. You were, people were calling in with a claim. That was really the only channel. Like you had a fax machine, but there weren't digital apps.
Yep. Right.
Everything was handwritten or typed. Everything was manual. It was, to me, that's the biggest change is that technology has made it, there were so many more different channels that you can communicate on. There wasn't any texting. There were really not many mobile phones. I mean, that part of it was just completely different. And so I look at technology. So to me, that's the enabler that it can help so much. It can make things, there are so many different channels to communicate on. The repeatability of communications in terms of being able to not have to start from scratch each time. So things
Yep.
can move
Yep.
a lot faster, even in terms of things like digital payments. Like all of that technology has completely changed insurance and the way that people can use it. I feel like at times that is the balance that insurers really have and agents really need to find is that, so if every claim at best is just an inconvenience. So if I break my windshield, I really don't need to say like, "Oh, Miss Potter, we are so sorry." I just need to know where I can go get my windshield fixed.
Where's the getting
And
fixed?
and where this is very
Yeah.
practical. I need to get my windshield fixed. Please tell me how. If my car is totaled and somebody is injured, I need more empathy. I need someone to say like, this is what you should do. And you want to feel taken care of. And I think technology can give you that opportunity to, people use the term high value processes, and I don't love that. I love the idea is that technology can enable insurance agents and CSRs and people in call centers to really focus on the people that you really need to take the most time with. And that, technology can give you a different level of bandwidth. And then also not having paper files. I mean,
Offices are a lot cleaner these days, probably, right?
well, and just, the idea of like, I can literally remember like, picking up the phone, going to a file cabinet, the file is not there, and running around the office and saying, does anyone have the so-and-so file?
Yeah, right.
Technology makes it a lot easier. So you don't have to, maybe it's less exercise, yet it's more efficient. So,
Yep.
so yeah, that's, to me, technology it's changed everything when it comes to insurance.
I love it. I love it. Todd, what are some of the things that you've seen over the years, my friend? And what are some of the things that you've seen kind of change on the team front? Eileen brings up an awesome technology's changed rapidly. It's going to continue to change even faster. But what are some of the things that you've seen on the team front, my friend? Or what are some of the big things that you've kind of walked away these last 35 years knowing are paramount when it comes to building your team or thinking about the folks that are serving your customers every day?
Yeah, it's a great question, Adrian. Is I think as Eileen has highlighted, the customer experience has changed over, at least for me, 35 years. Uh, I think one thing that when I've been in the insurance is I think as an industry, we always have a blind spot and trying to understand what the customer needs are and how we need to adjust to those and adapt to those. I mean, like Eileen mentioned, the tech piece has really been huge. The speed of service, how quick your claim is being handled. I did read an article just recently that, our customers now, at least in the insurance space, expect Amazon kind of level of service. They
Wow.
want
Yeah. Right.
real ease, they want self-service, interactions with us really quickly. So what I've seen is, we've gone from a manual process, slow processing, slow adapting to adjusting a claim to quick of speed, fair settlement, and it's just really evolved. The tech piece has been huge. And like I said, you know, I know for me, I mean, I want something done really quick and I don't want things to drag out. And I do have that Amazon kind of level thought process is just making it easier to move through our process. But it has
I mean,
evolved.
the whole world, you're right. The whole world has changed because of Amazon, Walmart, Google, and things now, right now. I want it right now. It's become so normal. And there's still certain businesses where that's not really part of it. Some things take time. Some things have compliance. Some things have check boxes that have to happen. Some things have terms. And, it's funny because I hear that statement all the time from guests who come on the show, trying to keep up with Amazon, but it really has changed customer expectations across the board.
It has.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Insurance fundamentally has not changed. I mean, really, when you think of the insurance, so there's policy administration, there's issuing a policy, there is paying a claim. Like those functions are the underwriting function, the billing function. Fundamentally, those are the same. You're doing the
Still the same
same,
thing.
still the same thing. But what has changed? Technology's changed. Customer expectations have changed. All of those things all of those things have changed. And you brought up such a good point, Adrienne, about insurance is a highly regulated industry. Like your policy is essentially a legal document. It's a contract. This is what
Yep.
you're purchasing. This is what we're going to cover. People don't, I think that to me, when you talk about customer experience and I think about communication, Todd works on the claims side, but I also think it's proactive communication. It's making things easier to understand. That probably is one of the biggest, if you can be passionate about insurance, that's a passion of mine, is to enable people to better understand what's being covered. I was in front of a group of underwriters a few months ago, and I said to them, for all of my close friends and family, I am the insurance person. If anything happens, they are calling me to ask,
Call
like,
you.
what should I buy? You talk about your good friend, like, what kind of insurance do I need if I have a claim? Like, what should I do? And I looked at everyone out there. I said, I'm assuming that you are that person to all of your close friends and family. And it was a group of maybe, 60 or 75 people, and they all nodded. And I said, but we have to be able to communicate because not everybody has an Eileen or a Todd or
Yep.
a friend like
Yep.
you do, that we have to be able to, understanding legal parameters to make it easier to understand. Because to me, the saddest thing is when people are like, no, I thought I was covered. I didn't understand that
That
that,
miscommunication or the
yeah,
misalignment of expectations.
yeah,
And I mean, it's a complex space though. Like when I was telling you and Todd about my one of my best friends who's in the insurance game with you guys, some of this stuff's complex. So
it
depending
is.
on who you're dealing with or who's across the table from you, if they don't have a certain level of sophistication, comprehension, vocabulary, like some of this stuff, like not everybody understands all the caveats of what's going on
Yes.
here. So it is an easy place and space in the world to where you can get confused, right?
Yeah.
And I guess one last thing is this: most people only buy one house. Most people only buy a car every 6, 7, 10 years.
Mhm.
So like some of those big items, not everyone's doing that shit every 2 years, 3 years. Not everyone's doing it again. So like it is one of those things. And then again, law, regulation, compliance changes. So even with my friend, it's funny since he's gotten into this line of work, and you guys are going to laugh because you've been doing it for decades, but he's already getting excellent at just understanding updates, new requirements, different legality changes, guys. One of the things I was excited to pick your guys' brain on is like, everyone's heard about like Florida, for example, insurance companies pulling out of Florida. It's
Yeah.
literally a country. I know there's a lot of opinions on Florida. We won't go there today, but like stuff like that, that takes a certain breadth of knowledge, and that takes a SME like you folks, who's always kind of, you got to be on your game, you got to understand what's happening, and then you're relaying and socializing that to your customer base, right? So
It's I think of this as there are a lot of things out of insurers' control. So you think like climate change and weather conditions, in Florida, like so many hurricanes impacting insurers saying, well, I can't pay these it's premiums go up because of risk. And there's a lot of risk in Florida for there to be lots of like hurricanes, total losses, there's flooding, there's wind. Florida is it's not an island, but it's close enough. I mean, when it's just this peninsula, but then
slowly sinking
into the ground. But then thinking about there are like wildfires in places where there weren't wildfires. There's floods in places where there weren't floods. And Todd, this on the claim side, like this is complex. Like these weather events that people don't have control over. This is really there's lots of changes, and I guess I think of that is one of the ways I think that insurers can use technology is to respond to things they can't control, because they can't control the weather. So how can they use technology to provide better customer service? To me, efficiency and cost cutting is it shouldn't be just about like lowering expenses, and you want to lower expenses, but you also don't want to impact customer service negatively. Like there has to be that balance that if you cut costs too much and you can't provide that level of service, is it going to help you if you lose customers?
I want to back up real quick, Adrian. I know you want to move on, but one thing you had brought up is the ever-changing world of policies, and it changes from year to year. I think one thing that I've experienced in my career as a claims adjuster and then as a leader is most of us, when we get our insurance policy, we pay our bill, we put the insurance policy that's either in a digital portal or it goes in a file cabinet. We have no idea what's on that policy. We do have no idea. And it's our role.
Books come, Todd. These policies are like books.
Oh, they're huge. They're really huge.
Reading that.
Yeah. And I think
Not even me.
Yeah. And
Just
from a customer
yeah.
standpoint, it's our responsibility as an insurance company to spend time with our customer when they have a claim, kind of outlining, being empathetic, obviously, for that, because this loss is tragic to them in some cases, but having them understand what their policy conditions are and what's covered, what's not, their deductible. Because a lot of people don't understand that. I mean, shame on me. I'm in insurance and I get my policy and I just switched carriers. I haven't looked at my policy. I need to, but that's our role in the insurance business, to give that customer the benefit of the doubt and spend time with them. So
going back to what Eileen said a second ago, Todd, and to your point here, though, it's like that is why the upfront expectation setting, communication, education, it's education. Eileen, my friend that I told you and Todd about, like, again, it's and then for certain customers, again, and this is what's interesting for all of us guys, right, for everyone listening, all of us have different types of customer segments, right? All of us have different types of customers that we interact with. But in my circumstance, like the fact that I have a partner that's like Eileen and Todd that has been in this business, understands what's going on. There's also the trust value. I know that this is a unique thing because not everyone has the benefit of being able to work with the friends. Like Eileen, your point of the 75 people that you were talking to in the room, them all being that person is pretty damn awesome, because like if you've got that authentic trust built in, like for my friend, I basically ask him, here's my concerns, here's the things that I'm worried about, what do you think I need? And I'm not worried about being oversold. And the other thing too is again, as I've gotten older, and I think for many of our listeners guys are business founders, they're business leaders, they're people that are thinking about running teams, managing customers, to spend a little bit more to have excellent coverage or excellent contingency plans.
yes.
Awesome. Fine. If it's not going to break the bank, even better. Now I've also learned though, guys, about over coverage. That was something that a lot of people, might not understand. So you can go too far, and you can be
Yeah.
literally paying for something that you don't even own what the value of the thing is. But I want to ask, I want to ask a question, Todd. Let's start off with you this time. How does AI come into play in the world of insurance? How does number one, I guess, what is some of the big yammering, or what are some of the big themes when you guys go to some of your industry events, or as you guys are just listening to all the changes that are happening in every industry? How's AI playing into this, guys? Or what are some thoughts that you have around what you're seeing or what you think might change? We've talked about technology, but specifically with AI, does this change everything? Does it just change a few areas? Like, love to kind of pick your brain on that.
So I know from a Hippo standpoint, we are still adopting to the AI space, and part of that is because it's heavily regulated, and we're still unclear, or at least from my prior conversations, unclear of what regulators kind of think about the AI piece. But I know
Interesting. Really?
internally, from the claims side, we've slowly been implementing some AI tools. One of them is when somebody files a first notice of loss with us because they had a claim, there's a tool that we've put into our claim system that summarizes the loss and assigns a severity level to it, and that kind of helps us determine what type of inspection we're going to do on that claims. If it's a like a big fire loss that a customer is going to, it's a severity, it's probably going to be it'll be a red flag for our claims adjusters to that they probably need to send it to one of our mitigation vendors and construction, that kind of thing. The smaller ones, it'll recommend maybe you could just do by the phone and adjust it over the phone. So we're slow to adapt to it, but it's really been a helpful tool for us in claims.
That's awesome. So a couple things before we bounce off this. The compliance piece is interesting. Financial professionals have the same problem right now. So, like, specifically wealth managers, certified financial planners, that type of thing, where their compliance, their rules, whether it's FINRA or whether it's some of the federal financial regulatory, same type of thing. Meaning, there's still rules around how to send certain messages, or what type of messages you can send, or what words and copy you can send. So I find it so interesting that you've got some of the biggest segments of our economy, insurance and finance, and like even automotive. Automotive, they say that they're adapting. It's still the same thing, guys. We're back of house. It's still
Yeah.
a little bit slow, but I find that fascinating that there's not a position yet, because you think about policies, you think about back office work. Eileen, when I'm imagining you, like 20 years ago, when I'm imagining the paper all over in the filing cabinets and things, faxes and like, but like, you'd think that there would be some type of position around how a minimum usage, minimally, like a minimum expectation of what we can use at a minimum, or what types of parts of the insurance business we're allowed to use. And maybe it's only sales and marketing. Maybe it isn't the stuff that's actually more back house. But I find that interesting. What are some thoughts you have?
So I always laugh about AI in conversations like this because I'm like, I'm glad you brought it up because otherwise we get fined. Like, you can't have a podcast. We're not talking about, I would just like, you can't do that.
It's
So
it's the most
it's,
popular topic in the
it
world,
is
man. Whether
AI. I
you
could
love
just
it
like, let's just talk
or
about.
hate it.
So this is really interesting from an insurance standpoint. So I know it will surprise neither of you that I am a big giant dork and I spend a lot of time reading. There's lots of insurance industry analysts about AI. So I might not be reading my policy, but I am reading industry analyst reports a lot.
Nice. Yep.
So this is because this is a part of what I'm thinking about. And from a technology standpoint, how can insurers use it? I think there are a couple of things. So AI from insurance gets kind of regulators looking at things is when AI is just making the decisions. Like that's problematic. Like AI saying like, we're going to we will cover this or we won't cover, like just letting
Okay.
like AI just kind of running amok. It's really important to have a human in the loop. AI can be like, what is and what are you using it for? From the technology that I work with right now, especially, customer communications technology, AI can be so helpful. AI can help summarize and make things easier to understand. There are lots of rules that come to like accessibility in terms of reading. AI can really help with that. Like AI can be a great assistant. It's like those are the things that AI can really be helpful with. But there always has to be a human in the loop. I think, from smart communication standpoint, that is just a huge, for us, AI is going to be relevant. So we're not going to use AI in a way that doesn't add. We want it to add speed and efficiency to insurers' tasks. We want it to be accountable in terms of access and logging and maintaining provenance. Like we have very strict rules. Like this is, as an organization, this is something that I'm passionate about, that Smart Communications is passionate about. And our AI technology is going to be compliant. It's going to comply. Regulations are changing. AI it's still, things are changing, and there are regulations at national, state, and local levels. I think that to me is super important, is how it's going to be used. There are lots of, you talked about back office tasks.
Yeah.
AI can compile information really quickly in a way so someone can make a faster decision. So that can help in adjudication of a claim or in an underwriting decision. But to me, it's all about the human in the loop. It's about being compliant. And it's not just using it where it's adding a layer instead of helping. So that was kind of windy, but I hope that resonated and made sense.
Absolutely. Todd, feel free to join on.
Yeah, no, Eileen, it's just we as an industry, I think we're taking small steps to engage with the AI. I just think it's a phased approach that we really need to understand what we can and cannot do. And like I mentioned earlier, we have an internal tool that we use. It's not making claim decisions for us. It's just summarizing the data that we're receiving from a first notice of loss, and then giving us some kind of trajectory of possibly how we can handle the claim with our customer. But it's mostly internal. I'm not privy to what our organization has done on a larger scale, but I know that there is a concern in the industry right now from an insurance standpoint about what you can and cannot do. Uh, to Eileen's point, making decisions like an underwriting. We can't use the underwriting tool to say we're not going to write you. Regulators may have a hard time with that, because what did you use in that logic to do that? So, yeah.
And guys, the speed. So Eileen and Todd, you guys are both
Yeah.
spot on. We're like, totally understand that institutions are going to want to regulate and continue to control and continue to set expectations and law around how things have to be
100%.
ordered and structured. Fine. Got it. Totally fine with that. This thing's going to move faster than anything has in the past. But going back to Eileen's point, and I'll give you guys an example. So like we use a number of different AI tools at CXC for not only our internal work, but for some of our client work, right? And then many of our strategic partner software solutions, they're already building some crazy stuff inside of their existing tools that leverage AI so that essentially people can do more with less. Or I think to your point, you can do the manual slow stuff that's important wicked fast, and then have a smart person take things the last mile, right? But one example that I think I'm going to keep using for people, and I'm going to share with you guys, is like, I'm finishing up my second book, Make Happiness a Habit. And I have promised you guys, I wrote the book. I wrote it. I promise you. There's still some of us out there. But I did leverage ChatGPT. I did leverage Gemini. I did leverage a few other tools. And what's funny is compilation and then citing, sourcing, connecting facts, right? Connecting facts, reports, case studies, analyst reports. That was really good. And then Eileen, you're spot on, where I now have the next month and a half in front of me of literal human rewriting because as great as the compilation, the aggregation, the quick and dirty of just like pulling stuff together is, humans are still the last mile. And then I'll give you another example. With the last several episodes, we have people coming on from AI companies, founders of AI companies, making it clear that, and usually when we get into the first pillar of team, but like humans are still the last mile for a while. Like Elon's going to have to pump his brakes because we're not all riding around on robots tomorrow. That's not happening. I mean, that would be wild, but there's still going to be human involvement, human intervention. And then one last thing, guys, and I really like this idea because I think a lot of the world is still a little bit nervous or scared or uninformed around what this means for their space, their subject matter
Yes.
expertise area. But I think like in the next 1,000 days, there's going to be a really interesting migration across every industry, every space. Some might be a little bit slower than others, sure, no doubt about it. But there's going to be like a cohort or a group of leaders in each one of these subject matter expert spaces that are going to figure this stuff out. And they're either, whether it becomes comfortability with leveraging an industry specific type of AI solution that can get them ahead a little bit further, whether it's leveraging some of the out of the box solutions that we see kind of taking over the world right now. And then lastly, just education and comprehension of what it can and what it can't do, or said another way, how to work smarter, right? Which parts of a business kind of goes to a bot where we even trust the sorting or the scanning or the quick fire stuff versus what smart humans have to pick up the information from that and make critical decisions
Yeah.
make minimally big ticket decisions, guys. Like Todd, you're talking about a fire in a house, or you got to replace a house, then a family's got to go rent a house for 12 months. Then that's a lot of money. So like those decisions are still need to be in the hands of humans. But I love that. Guys, I'd like to jump into process and feedback. Insurance is interesting because we've talked about all these different ways that you guys become aware of a claim or aware of a situation. Or can each one of you spend a couple minutes kind of talking about how have you kind of built process around getting feedback from not only your customers or your insurers, your end insureds, but you guys have another piece that's similar to what we do at CXC, right? Where you have different insurance offerings, right? So you've got a customer, then you've theoretically got your insurance partners or some of the different things that you're able to provide.
Awesome.
Can you spend a couple minutes just kind of talking about how you sort of manage that and what that looks like, and sort of what you've learned along your way for some of the best ways of using feedback to really kind of push things forward?
I mean, Eileen,
You,
you want to go first? I go first. Yeah.
yeah. So I work really closely with, obviously, with our customers, with Hippo, with Todd. Like that is a big part of my role here, is that I work with insurance companies to talk about what their end customer, like what their insureds really need. It's not about technology for the sake of technology because it's cool. It's about how is this going to help them take better care of their customers. And to me, that is a continuous feedback loop.
Todd, why don't you go ahead and jump in here as well, my friend? Why don't you go ahead and kind of pick up where Eileen left off and give us a sense for some of the things you've seen with leveraging feedback and really kind of using it to your advantage with growing the business and providing that incredible customer experience.
Yeah, it's a great question, Adrian. So I want to step back a little bit. So one of my roles at Hippo and why I came to Hippo is looking at the continuous improvement cycle and understanding what is lagging and what needs to be improved in the process. And that's kind of where SmartCom came in. So backing up a little bit, when I first came in, I noticed that Hippo was sending out our customer letters in a manual process. It would take them 15, 20 minutes to write a letter. Then they had to email it to a manager to look at and then send it back and put it in the file. It really just, we had, I think, a network of 1,560 letters with the 40 states we wrote business in. And it became a time suck. We spent a lot of time doing letters. And then that's where SmartCom came in. So when we integrated into a new claim system, SmartCom came on board, and we knew that um, there was a pain point with our customers, with possibly what we identified as sometimes we weren't putting the right policy number, we weren't writing the claim number, we were maybe putting the wrong language.
Due to manual error, due to not
Just
having that.
manual error. Exactly. Exactly. So SmartCom came in and we were able to reduce that 15 to 20 minute time frame to do a letter to 5 to 8 minutes just by automating it, and it helped the customer. We have less errors. The letter lives within the system. It was not a manual thing where we had to manually through an email address, and it really just made a huge impact in the customer. But I mean, we got feedback from our customers that, hey, this is not right. This is not correct. You wrote the wrong policy number, the wrong address for our loss, or you use the wrong policy language. This was for a condo loss. It wasn't for a homeowner's loss. So just having that automation and getting the feedback from our customers, and then me coming in and helping with the claims operation to try to automate that and make it a lot better. We were the process time we reduced somewhere around 65%,
That's
and just
amazing.
process,
It's amazing.
and it helps us as a company, but also helps the customer. At the end of the day, they're getting the right information the first time.
Before I let you jump off that, Todd, what does an organization, what does a team, what does an individual do when they get 65% of their time back in a certain area? What did that open up, or what other things became present or possible with some of that time?
Yeah, that's a great question, Adrian. I think what we ended up focusing on is
Don't tell
more
me your
is
golf game got better, Todd. Don't you
no.
tell me.
Oh, that's not a
Todd's a
bet.
runner, not a golfer, or maybe he's a
Okay,
golfer
okay,
too. But
okay.
I know he's a runner. So
I do live on a golf course, but I don't play golf very much. So, anyways, well, I think Adrian, it's a good question. What that freed us up to be more responsive to our customers, even though we are responsive at a high
Yep,
level. But I just think it
yep.
gave us a little more time to focus more on our customer instead of doing the manual process and more technical piece that doesn't really, at the end of the day, impact our customer. It's more internal, and it just really had a good push for the customer at the end of the day.
Mm,
I love that. Guys, it makes me wonder, and this is going to be a question I'm going to ask all year long and every episode, but like, and Eileen, like, going back to what we were joking around, another AI, right?
yeah,
But here's the deal. If the whole world is minimally talking about it, means they're aware of it, means they're probably starting to learn some things about it here and there, whether they want to or not, but due to exposure, right? There's things that are becoming more front and center, but you don't hear really granular, crisp stories around what we're gonna do with some of this time. And then it leads one to believe like it will likely then continue to just be, if you save this time, okay, now we can do more with less. And now on one side, like that's cool, but as we sit here on a customer experience podcast, and then guys, that I told you when we met a few weeks back, like you cannot have world class customer experience without world class employee
100%.
experience. And so then it just makes me continue to wonder, and I just would like at least like a thought from each of you on like how are organizations and how are business leaders going to start to create actual plans, actual strategy, actual roadmaps, actual go ahead and put a slide up around what are we going to do and what are we willing to invest when that comes? Because I think what's going to happen is like you're going to have a smaller group of professionals that become extremely valuable. So yes, some people and some roles and some jobs in certain areas might go away or change, likely more to
I
change, right? The
agree.
world, when we see these big, crazy catalyst moments, doesn't make everything just go away altogether. It could. This might be a different thing, but normally it's just a shift. People go do different things. A spreadsheet, for example. The creation of a spreadsheet created the ability for CPAs and accountants to then manage 100 customers, right? Whereas before, with their bookkeeping, they could do a few, right? But like, I guess like as we start to wind down, how does that resonate in the insurance space with you guys? Meaning like are there already some leaders that are really kind of leading insurance companies or leading insurance providers that are really kind of thinking about this? Are there agencies, maybe big agencies across the land that are thinking about how they're going to sort of play into that effect? Because I don't know, it's interesting. Like I'm going to keep kind of asking people, what are you seeing, hearing, feeling, or even what do you think, or what do you potentially see might happen, knowing where we've been and kind of seeing where we're about to go?
If I'm looking at a snow globe, a future of what that's going to look like, I think we need to, or for the claim side, is be focusing as an industry more on claims automation, moments of truth. How can we get people to our customers adopt more technology to do it on apps,
Yep,
to handle their claims through that way? I know a lot of carriers do that.
absolutely.
Um, I think as we evolve as an industry, we're always going to have to be looking at what the customer's wanting. And I think it's an ongoing, I mean, it changes every day. I mean, customers' expectation 20, 30 years ago was one thing. Now it's different this year. And I think, or this time period. And I really think, you know, having a lot of different options for our customers and being able to have that automation to help them navigate through their claims, or at least from the claim side, their claims journey.
Yep. No, I think you're absolutely right, man. And then again, for all of us, it continues to be, work in progress. And then again, for all of us, we're going to continue to see what types of ebbs and flows, and we're going to continue to see where the core opportunities are for disruption, optimization, and really, again, anything that we can do to kind of continue to make things better for our customers is going to be great. So guys, this has been absolutely fantastic as we wind down the show. Number one, Todd, anything that you would like to call out about some of the things that are going on at Hippo? And then where can people find you, my friend? Or where can people reach out to you if they want to learn more about Hippo?
Yeah, we are a publicly traded company. Hippo, just a little bit about Hippo itself. Hippo Holdings we're a technology native insurance company, or platform, I should say, that's driving growth through our own and partner MGA. So really, we're not an insurance company ourselves. We're an MGA of an insurance company. But if people want to reach out, learn more about Hippo, it's hippo. On the internet. I've got great information about what we offer, some of the technology that we're using in our system and our company, and just really what our trajectory is for the next 2 to 3 years.
I love it, man. I love it. And guys, for Eileen to get in touch with Smart Communications, it's going to be smartcommunications.com. Eileen is highly active on LinkedIn. And then guys, obviously we will add these to the show notes, but Todd, Eileen, it's been an absolute pleasure having you folks on the CX Chronicles podcast. Huge thanks for sharing your story. And we'll look forward to chatting with you folks again in the near future.
Adrian, thanks for your time. Appreciate the invite. And thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Be sure to check out the CXC website. And as always, find us on any of your favorite podcast players, iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, and more.